like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 47 of the Ball Talk Pod. Getting ready to recap the Thunder Pacers final series that's supposed to tip off Thursday night at the Paycom Center. The only person I thought that could walk us through a finals week in the best way possible is who is joining Chris and I today, Eddie Radosevich. Eddie, how's it going today, man?
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. Doing well. This was kind of crazy. The Pacers getting welcomed with basically a tornado going through downtown Oklahoma City, or a severe storm, probably more so. But welcome everybody, and very, very excited. Can't believe this is. I don't know. This is real to a sense, even though we kind of expected it. But a lot of good vibes right now in Oklahoma City.
The storms have kind of set the tone, and I hope the Pacers
Absolutely.
are ready. My question to you before we start: did the OU softball team and OU baseball team sacrifice their seasons for a Thunder championship?
I mean, maybe if it makes you feel a little bit better, man. What a gut punch that was on Monday night for the softball team, and just like the emotions there in the seventh inning. That was insane to watch. But yeah, like baseball, I think that they probably squeezed everything they could out of this year's team. Obviously they got to get better defensively, and it was just, go back to that Kentucky series. Don't get swept, and maybe you don't get sent to one of the hotter teams in the country. But the softball thing was, it went from like maybe one of the greatest stories of all time, maybe one of the biggest swings in OU softball history, to just like, oh, damn. So that's how it's going to end. But those were pretty good runs for both of them. Obviously, the softball team and what they were able to do over the last 4.5, 5 years. It's insane. We talk about it every boarding, but it's just like, I don't think that people really truly realize how special that was, like the run that they
still
went.
is. Like everyone's talking about that, like, oh, the dynasty's over. And it's like, no. Wait a minute. All those girls are freshmen for the most part.
I know. And they're going to be extremely good. Obviously they're going to have to go into the portal, probably get a couple of, answers maybe at catcher. I know that the Corey Hicks girl entered her name on Tuesday night, I think it was, into the transfer portal. And I'm sure that there might be a couple more, but yeah, they're so young. And I think they said that guy I do radio with, Ryan Chapman, said this morning, I think that the recruiting class that she brought in this past year, the signing class, might be the best she's ever brought in. Has a couple pitchers in it as well. So I don't think that they're going to be stopping anytime soon over at Love's Field.
I feel like that's something you could say about Patty's recruiting class every year, that she brings in the best class she's ever brought in. So it's just
insane.
The train keeps rolling.
And to go from like the football side of things, where, you get a top 10 class or a top 5 class, it's like, what a tremendous year it's been. But she does it every year and gets, like, you look at the top 50 or top 100 players list that they put out. It's like, well, there's 9 of them that are going to be at OU next year. So Patty's unbelievable.
It's fair to say she earned that statue.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. It really is. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the hope is that Mark coaches so well over the next 20 years, we put a statue in front of the new Paycom Center. So
I hope so. It's crazy. Like, when he was hired, I remember thinking like, he's going to be here for a couple of years and then they'll go get a big name.
He was a tank commander.
Right.
100%.
And now, like, I think it was the Down to Dunk guys that were talking about, buddy Andrew Schleck brought up, like, he could probably be the guy in Oklahoma City next 20 years if he wants. Like, basically,
he's our Popovich
contract. Yeah.
And I don't, like, so far, like, I think the biggest thing is he did such a great job in developing, obviously, because we are where we are. But the adjustments that he's shown throughout these playoffs already shows that he's not just like a behind the scenes coach. Like, he's an in the now coach. He knows how to pull the plug when things need to get pulled. Like, he sat Dort and played him when he needed to save a series. Same with Hartenstein against the Wolves. But speaking of all that, Eddie, throughout this playoff run and even in the regular season, how have your emotions been when tracking this team? Like, have you ever doubted them, I guess, is the question.
I don't know if like doubt was the right word, but I think everybody, you go through the Denver series and they lose game 1, in just unbelievable fashion. And then, game 3 happens and you can't close it out on the road. Overtime was basically nothing. I mean, you got blown out in overtime for the most part. And I think just like everybody, you have the questions of, shit, is this thing really too far away? Like, are they too young? Are they not going to be able to get over the hump? And then for them and the way that they responded, stole the game, and then J-Dub started playing well. I think it kind of answered all those questions. Everybody kind of looked like idiots for questioning it. But at the same time, you're not questioning it. It's just hoping that you're going to be right ultimately, that they are old enough, that they are going to be able to make those shots when it really counts and get over the hump as this young group. Because I think for the most part over the last 2 years, and when they got the number 1 seed a year ago, you thought this is kind of cute in a way because it is ahead of schedule, but to finally get over the hump, get those, I think, in a way that, kind of the questions about this team and where they are from a progress standpoint, to get that out of the way. It feels good, but at the same time, I guess you're also kind of remembering, like, they are still relatively young. They're still needing to get over the hump of winning the world title. And I think that's kind of the fun part here over the next couple of weeks is we'll find out kind of, are they ready to get to that mantle of, the upper echelon to win a world championship and kind of solidify themselves, in the hierarchy of whatever the Thunder have been. So I was just preaching this morning, like, I'm going to try to enjoy it because I remember thinking in 2012, like, they're young, they're going to get back to it multiple times over the next couple of years. And obviously that never happened again. So it's almost kind of one of those, like, God damn, we're just so extremely lucky to be back in this spot so quickly and for it to really kind of all fallen into place like it has.
Yeah, I think specifically that's something I needed to hear, you to enjoy it. I feel like for the past, at least for the Nugget series and the Wolves series, I've just been a miserable fan
that's
watching
part of
the
the
game.
Experience, right? Like that's part of being in the playoffs, having a chance or having a team that has a chance to go, kind of make this historical run. It's kind of the fun part, but it's also like the agonizing part, especially on that off day between, game 1 and game 2 or game 3 and game 4, where it's like
the series was over on those days.
Right. You don't want to listen to any Thunder podcast. You don't want to listen to, any of the national stuff talking about the series. And then the doubt starts to kind of, I guess, kind of in the back of your brain pop up again that like maybe this isn't going to be it. But I don't know. Like the Minnesota series was such a kind of a complete ass whooping outside of game 3 that it just never like I thought like game 4 and game 5 specifically in the Minnesota series, they just felt like regular season games to a certain extent, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad thing or if it's a really good thing because you're so comfortable with where the Thunder were at.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that everyone's trying to balance this week, and you hear podcasts talk about it, whether it be on the national side or the local side, is you celebrate what they've done because obviously it's happened once so far. And like you said, everyone thought this is going to happen a billion times after this, and we never got back. But everyone's trying to balance. So like, okay, they've done something, but they also are the biggest favorites in finals since what, 2018 or something like that. And so it's like, yeah, like they should win this series. And a lot of people almost are talking like they already have, which is why I think Thunder fans are very cautious.
Sure.
But I can't blame people for that.
No. I mean, they should. They match up kind of well with Indiana. Obviously I know that they only played 2 games, and to be completely honest, when you get to this, I think, round of the playoffs, obviously the 29-1 against Eastern Conference teams doesn't really matter. That's a
cool stat.
It's an awesome stat. It's a great thing to be able to say that they went 29-1, but the Pacers are shooting the ball well. Obviously, with everything they've been able to do in the playoffs, it's been incredible. And I don't think that there was anybody at the beginning of the Eastern Conference playoffs that were talking about the Pacers in this manner. Certainly Boston was going to be the team to beat. Cleveland kind of had that same type of run that the Thunder had, doing it somehow similarly. Can't even say that word. I can't. That's the true Eddie Radosevich experience. Close enough. But it's wild. And I think that the way that the Thunder have been able to do this, like with the level of dominance, in the back of your brain, you kind of fall back on the numbers and say there's no way that they're going to be able to win this series. But there's going to be or be able to lose this series, but I'm sure there's going to be points in the game, but we're throughout this early portion of the series, especially in Oklahoma City, knowing how important home court is, that, I'm sure that you're going to wonder, like, they know that this thing isn't just signed, sealed, delivered yet. So, the Thunder, they're such a good, like, it's so cliche, but they really are, like, culturally so in tuned with everything. And the way that Shea has talked after the game, it did kind of, I guess, calm my nerves a little bit that
They're saying the right things.
Right. But I've heard that before. I've heard that from many of Oklahoma playoff football teams before, that were saying the right things going into it. And then you look up in the third quarter. But this one's probably a little bit different than those.
Yeah. Well, hey, they got over the Oklahoma semifinal curse, because for the longest time, like 2016 when we lost to the Warriors, that was Oklahoma losing in the semifinals. I think that was the year of the Orange Bowl against Deshaun Watson and Clemson. So they were like, Oklahoma teams, they get far, but they can't ever get over the hump. And this team finally did. So
and they're just so damn good. And like everybody else, it's just hard not to sit around and you think about where this thing's at right now. And then remember, Chet broke his hip 4 months ago. And it seems like that was 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
And everybody's just so young. It's truly incredible. It's a masterclass by Sam Presti to get us back to this point.
Absolutely. One of the things I wanted to ask you, Chris and I grew up in Miami, Oklahoma, which a lot of Thunder fans there, but we weren't in downtown Oklahoma City. You're Oklahoma City's favorite son. So I wanted to ask you if you could compare it, how were the vibes in 2012 compared to what we're seeing now in downtown Oklahoma City?
They're about the same. I mean, I think that, like, the vibe around downtown or just around Oklahoma City, even, it's kind of uncomparable, because I think that, like, you drive around, and I don't know if it's just me because I take it all in and kind of live it day to day, but you feel like things are a little bit more lively. I don't know how to explain it. That was kind of the same mood in 2012, but at the same time, I think that there was also, like, a certain level of innocence with the Thunder, because they hadn't been to this spot before, because this was the first run with KD and Russ and everybody else in 2012. It just felt different. I think, like, this one, I think people, I don't want to say are taking more seriously by any means, but I think that there was a certain level of Thunder fan that probably kind of checked out when they got really bad. They're, at the really, truly the beginning of this rebuild, Shea's first 2 years, that kind of checked out, didn't pay attention to the Thunder as much, but at the same time, it was awesome. I'm glad I'm not doing it now, looking back on it 13 years later, because there was a lot of midday or midweek drinking during that time period of my life. We went to a lot of the playoff games. I remember that, like, 2012 run, went up to Belle Isle Brewery, which was an unbelievable place to watch a game back then. And you can still,
it's closed now, isn't it?
I think so. I don't know about the restaurant, but I think, like, that upstairs area was.
Yeah.
That's where
we went for my birthday one year, and that night they told us they lost their liquor license and they couldn't serve anything but, like, Michelob Ultra. So
I think they were one of the last places in the city that you could still smoke cigarettes in, but it was like half the bar. So, like, obviously all the smoke was, like, going over to the other side too. And
half of it was smoke free.
It was for sure. It was a good time. It was a good time back then. But that was just such a, like, I remember getting to the finals, had some buddies that went down to Miami to, I think it would have been game 3 possibly, or those might be reversed. It might have been game 2. Either way, it was the game that the Thunder were up in third quarter and ended up blowing the lead. And I just remember thinking, like, it's okay. Like, they're going to get back to this point. This is the start of something special. And obviously, we know the history with that. So, it's comparable to a certain extent, but I think it is different a little bit. They were still, if I remember right, that was kind of like when Thunder Alley and all that stuff was going on in front of the Paycom Center, or I guess the Chesapeake Center at that time. So different, but I don't know. This one, I think, because we're caught in the moment, and because they are so young, and because this thing has been such a special season, winning 68 games and now 12 in the playoffs, it's definitely different. I don't know if there's something tangibly there, though, that you could point to make it different, if that makes any sense.
Do you feel like, so I think in 2012 you weren't on the radio talking about the Thunder,
No.
but you're on the radio now talking about the Thunder every day. Has that sort of changed your perspective to like what this team means to the city versus like you were drinking at Belle Isle in 2012? Has that changed anything about it?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think that like everybody, and particularly coming out of like April 19th, it usually rings a little bit more like, I don't know, full, if you will, just in terms of like the spirit of the city and the community. But at the same time, like I think anybody that goes to a playoff game or comes in from out of town and they go into the arena and they feel the college atmosphere, like we saw at the end of the Denver series with people chanting at the end, and then throughout the Minnesota series, and just all the way down to, you know, every person, 99% of the building wearing the t-shirt. I do think that like, because, and this, I think it's the same thing with Oklahoma football in a way. We're in such this bubble and we live it and kind of breathe it every day that we don't necessarily remember how special it is to have something like that. So I think like when you do listen to like the national podcast or you listen to some of the national shows talking about going to Oklahoma City games, it does like kind of make you remember that this is a pretty special thing that we have going. So maybe to that extent, but in a way, it all kind of feels the same. So I don't know if it's any different than what it was.
I almost feel like people want this one more than 2012. And I wasn't here, but it's like
Sure.
they appreciate the moment and what they've done because they know it's not given. Like the next 2 to 5 years, however long this team,
Sure.
whatever the runway is, people are like, holy cow, this is special. But also, I can't guarantee that we're going to be back here in the next 5 years. So let's go take this.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to an understanding, and the Thunder, you know, fan base had to learn the hard way the first time around that window is only open for a certain amount of time, and you got to jump through, or all of a sudden you have a situation where Russ gets injured in the playoffs, even though you look like the team to beat, or KD makes a decision and somebody leaves. Not to say that that's going to happen with SGA by any means, but I do think that you, in a way like 2012 and going through the ups and downs and the swings and having to go through a little bit of a rebuild, albeit much shorter than some of these other franchises have had to go through, you do get an appreciation for the team, wanting it for that group of guys. And, you know, I think that that's kind of like the special part of sports is that, you know, and maybe to a certain extent has also been lost on the college side that you don't know if you're going to be able to run it back with this same group of guys. And
especially now, you don't have that in college football anymore.
There's just an appreciation, I think, more for knowing and loving what you have right now, as opposed to looking ahead and looking into the future, even though it's super, super easy to do with this group.
Yeah. I mean, like you think about OU football 2-3 years ago, you're thinking Nick Anderson might win a Biletnikoff here and then go get drafted in the first round. And now he's coming to Norman in November on the LSU sideline. Like that's just, I don't need
starting for Auburn when they come back. It's insane. And I think that like maybe to a certain extent, because the football has been so bad over the last couple of years, you're starting to get maybe a sect of people that just want to be a part of a winner to a certain extent. And obviously they love the Thunder and they want to see them do well, but maybe care a little bit more, maybe want it a little bit more because you know, they haven't had a whole lot of success.
The vibes are a little higher up north compared to down in Norman. Just a little, just a little.
Not too far north, don't go to Stillwater. The vibes aren't good up there either.
No. So Eddie, one of the things that Chris and I had talked about before, and you hear everybody, you know, especially watching the Knicks series and things like that, they see all the celebrities on the front row. You got Timothy Chalamet going to Indiana and taking, you know, his girlfriend Kylie Jenner for every game. Because
what a way to phrase that. What a ways to phrase Kylie Jenner as Timothy Chalamet's girlfriend.
That's what she is to me.
She comes with. I don't know anything else about her.
Yeah, she's just there. I don't know who she is. She wears Knicks stuff, whatever. Now, you know, we don't need to get into the whole rating stuff and how everyone's so concerned about the downfall of the NBA because small market teams are playing in this finals.
Who cares?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
For I guess the city of Oklahoma City and the state, who would be like the top level of celebrity that you want to see front row game 1 or game 2, just any finals game at Paycom Center this year?
I do think that like there is something unique about the fact that you look around at like the front of or the front row at Thunder games currently, and it's basically like, you know, a couple from Edmond that have season tickets, or somebody from
That
Norman.
have had them since for 17 years.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
there has to be something, like, I don't know about psychologically for the team, but like even the Minnesota game, game 5, when they blew them out, game's over basically at the first time out of the first quarter. There had to be a moment where some of the Minnesota players like looked around at the arena and were just like, these people are
Who
insane.
are these people? Yeah.
Like, it's the fourth quarter, they're down by, you know, they're up by 30. Can't believe that these people are still here. Now, I guess in a clinch situation might be a little bit different, but I don't know. That's a good question. I think that like Kristen Chenoweth probably has to be up there. She usually represents the Thunder quite well at any given moment. Maybe we just invite like Gary England, like go way back as an ode to all the meteorologists. David Payne obviously would be invited, Mike Morgan, Damon Lane. I guess, is Jeff George still at Fox 25? I don't know.
I don't
I
think so.
Okay. I'm trying to think though, like, shout out James Marsden. He's a PC North guy. We would have to get him maybe back. I don't know if he like comes to a whole lot of Thunder games though.
He was here earlier this series or this playoffs, right?
Was
Or
he?
was it? Yeah, he came to one game.
Marsden did?
Yeah.
Olivia
He was-
Munn, maybe? I don't think she represents the Thunder that well though. Like, she never really shouts them out.
I've never seen her at a game. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Like, I know that we had George Kittle on our YouTube show last week, and he was back for a game. So maybe get George Kittle. That'd be like some good brand recognition within the National Football League. Who else would I be missing? Like, we can't do this shit with Blake Shelton again, like claiming a loyalty. Maybe he is a Thunder fan. I don't know.
he already screwed us over on game day. Like, he
I
doesn't
know.
get another shot at
Yeah.
this. There's one that's like, it's not really Oklahoma based, but it would not shock me if Drake showed up just because of the connection
Okay.
to Shea and I guess Lou to an extent. And there's like
don't-
Benedict Mathurin and Nimhart are also Canadian guys, but
I
that's not an
never
Oklahoma
pledged
guy.
loyalty with Kendrick or Drake in that saga, but if Shea's going to average 35 a game in the finals, I'll definitely, represent.
Swing your allegiance that way.
I guess. I mean, I don't want to get your guys' algorithm put out, messed up just because I mentioned Drake again.
And there's no such thing as bad press, with all
That's
this
right.
stuff.
No.
We got to get the name out there.
No, absolutely. I'm trying to think, like, would there be anybody else from Oklahoma City? Bill Hader from Tulsa, he
Yes.
comes to Thunder games.
Yes.
That definitely would be somebody that should be there.
I just love the thought that the second thing you went to besides Kristen Chenoweth was Weathermen.
Yes.
And I love the fact that they're like the
They're the stars of
celebrities,
the
the
show.
superheroes in Oklahoma. Yeah.
I mean, they got them diverted to Tulsa today.
Yeah.
That's all big ploy. Big weather got him.
It'll be interesting. John Mellencamp, is he going to come through and try to get courtside in Oklahoma City? Like, that's the other thing. I don't know if the Thunder have like just tickets available to give celebrities. Like, I think that for the most part, you have a bunch of families from Deer Creek and Oklahoma City and
The
Midwest,
simple modern
wherever.
guys, like,
Hill City.
That's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
point.
No, I think like someone told me once that there's like 2 tickets next to Mike Beckham and Brian and the Simple Modern guys, at least last year, because Kyler came to a Mavs game and he brought
Okay.
James Conner and he was like, we have 2
Right.
seats that are kind
Right.
of put aside for people like that. Now, obviously the finals might change it, but all those people aren't like one-offs. Like you said, they're season ticket holders that have been there probably since the team moved here.
It's crazy. That's the special part about it. I do think though that it'd be really funny if they went around and I was thinking about this the other day. If like, for all the normal people, they need to do a celebrity cam inside the stadium and then just put like, Jeff Banker, Edmond, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that would honestly be
That'd be
great. I mean,
kinda sick.
I guess the number one celebrity right now is in terms of like notoriety in the sports world is Gabe Eichert sitting front row.
Yeah, Gabe's definitely out there. He'll enjoy that shout out. I did sit courtside with Brian from Simple Modern for, gosh, I can't remember, Phoenix game, I think it was. about a month
No.
and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Okay.
It's
I thought I saw you and George at the Heat game too,
no,
courtside.
that's what it was. It was the Heat game. It was the
Yeah.
Heat game. That's exactly what it was. It was so much fun. It
Have
really
you
is.
gotten the call for game one of the finals?
No, but I'm ready. If need be, put me on the wait list. Anybody. It's awesome. Like it really is like a truly unique experience sitting down there and realizing like it's so stupid to say out loud, but just like how big even somebody like a Lou Dort is. Like, and I think like Russ was kind of the first guy for me that he looks so tiny out there compared to everybody else, and then you get up next to him and he's 6'2", 6'3", 6'2" and a
Just
half.
jacked. Yeah.
Huge. It's awesome though.
Yeah. No, it's a bucket list thing. We even talk about it like throughout. We're both season ticket holders, but we're in Loud City, and every once in a while we'll get a perk or an upgrade and go down. And it's such a different game. Even not even sitting courtside, but just lower bowl in general.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't even know how these guys can move on this court because of how big they
The
are.
court seems so small compared to like when you watch on television, right? That everything looks so big. Like, oh, they have so much room to move out there. It's hard to explain, but it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's special. It's special. I also wanted to ask. We go through celebrities. Let's say Bill Hader's here. As I mentioned, you are Oklahoma City's favorite son, and I know you're well connected in the restaurant scene, the bar scene. Where are you sending, Stephen A. and all these celebrities that are coming into Oklahoma City? Where are you sending them to have a good time this weekend? Because there's 2 days between games.
And we're kind of, and this is such a cliche Homer Oklahoma City guy comment, but I truly do feel like we have a really eclectic like food scene. Jones Assembly, obviously. Got to get over there at some point. The patio, nice place to eat dinner if you're trying to go. I think Birdie's fantastic. I don't know if you guys have been, but it's truly unbelievable. I think that's number one right now for me in the city area in terms of restaurants. Frida, tremendous. Another, I feel like kind of hidden gem to a certain extent. And then I don't know. We'd have to send them to get a burger somewhere, I think. And we
Bar Balada, Nick's Grill, maybe.
Arbolada, Nick's Grill. God, what's the other place over west downtown?
Sun Calico.
Calico's really good, and then Sparks, amazing. You can go right across the street from the arena. I'm trying to think. There's one more that I'm forgetting, and I'm gonna hate myself for it. But it's another really good burger. But Barbalada, same difference. Great burger. I don't know that. I mean, you have a lot of options there. I know my buddy Joe Bettner, I retweeted it today, put out a list of like best Mexican spots, and he's like my go-to guy if you need a good Mexican spot in Oklahoma City. So we're lucky. I think that like, and obviously, if you want to just go down the street to Mahogany, I don't think I've never had a bad meal at Mahogany. Fastball every time.
Wait, I'm curious. What was number one on Joe's Mexican list?
I don't think he did like a number one. It was like based off of like tacos, and I know the Lazy Donkey was on there, which is one of my go-to spots. So
absolutely. He listed like breakfast, tamales, dinner, taquitos, and then I think Berea's different spots. But yeah, Lazy Donkey's awesome.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. I go there almost weekly with a group of friends for lunch.
Really?
Oh yeah. We keep that place open.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, we walk in and they're like, "Yep, right this way." Like it is ideal.
That is a goal. That's a goal.
Do they know your order?
Yes, 3 lunch ACPs.
Wow.
Yeah, we're waiting for them to change the name. We're trying to get our initials in there or something like that.
That would be awesome. That'd be maybe one of the highest honors you could get in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I'd retire after that. I could stop the podcast. I could stop after that. But yeah, all great spots. Let's talk this series real quick before we head out. Thunder Pacers, as we mentioned, they played twice in the regular season. The Thunder won both of those games, one in blowout fashion in Oklahoma City, one that Shea went nuclear in Indiana. They won by 5 or 6 in that game. Chet did not play in either of those games. I know Neesmith did not play in Oklahoma City, he didn't play in Indiana. And so, I talked, about the Wolves series, and it feels like everything we knew of the regular season series is irrelevant as we're talking about this. So, Eddie, what are you looking at as kind of the X factors that I guess let's start with the Pacers. Like, what do they have to do to spring this upset starting Thursday?
Not turn the ball over. I mean, I maybe that's the most obvious one, just in terms of the Thunder and what they've been able to do defensively. It's incredible, and I think that like every time Alex Caruso steps on the floor, the burst of energy that not just the team gets to a certain extent, but I think the fan base gets, whether you're watching at home and on television or in the arena, it's been incredible. Like there were moments throughout the Minnesota series, especially on the back end of it in game 4 and game 5, that it felt like the Minnesota couldn't even get into their sets offensively. And you compare that to an Indiana team that's what they want to do. They want to be able to get into their offense early. They want to be able to get the ball over the half court line almost immediately after getting the rebound. So that's going to be kind of the first thing that you got to watch. And then obviously the way that they've shot the ball and just staying in games. When will it's kind of almost yeah, you can keep this Indiana team at an arm's distance, but they've shown that they can battle back in the fourth quarter and, make up marginal leads or, big leads or deficits. How can you get that final punch? And that's something that this Thunder team reversely has been fantastic about all season. It's been, at what point is it going to come? Is it going to come in the first half where they just blow them out of the water early? Or are you going to get that third quarter surge and then all of a sudden it goes from a kind of scary 10, 15 point game, all of a sudden it's 30 points and they're not going to be able to catch up? I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen because Indiana, you obviously don't get to this point without playing extremely good basketball and specifically on the road. But at the same time, I don't know. It just seems like there's something, and this is the Thunder homer in me. I'm wearing the apparel right now that, like, it just doesn't seem like it matters to the Thunder who they're playing. And we'll see. Like, I think that's like the biggest thing for me right now is just seeing if this thing is actually for real. And I guess that's kind of weird because there's only one more team to get through. But at the same time, it just seems like it's been a dream almost that they've been able to just suffocate these teams continually, almost night in and night out, really. It's truly been magical.
Yeah, use the word suffocating, and it's just like the defense, just like a boa constrictor that just keeps wrapping tighter. And as we go farther into that game, the third quarter runs, we just feel that squeeze get tighter and tighter. The crowd gets louder and louder, and the bright lights get brighter. It feels like for some of these, opposing teams. And you talked like, the one thing that Indiana has to do is to not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
But is that like, can they not turn the ball over with this defense? That's my real question.
No doubt. And I think that like the perfect comparison or matchup for this is this Indiana team, because that's one thing that they haven't done. I think they were third in the league in turnovers going into the playoffs. They've been phenomenal, obviously, with the way that they've won games in Cleveland. And then obviously in this last series against New York, they've been able to stay away from the turnover. And I think that, the one like thing, it doesn't necessarily scare me by any means because I think Mark has done a fantastic job. But Rick Carlisle, I think, is a fantastic basketball coach. And
that's what I was going to say is their biggest X factor. It's having Carlisle.
He's incredible, and he's done it. Like, he's won a world championship before.
That he shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, and it was because of some of the things that he did in that series that got Dallas back into it. So, that's kind of like the, try to take the Thunder glasses off, try to not be a homer side of it. That does scare me a little bit. But at the same time, I just think that like what the Thunder have been able to do and, the way that this thing is construed and constructed, they're so deep that when somebody doesn't have an on night, you can pull a Lou Dort out of the lineup and all of a sudden somebody else comes in and takes that spot. So, they're going to need all hands on deck. Obviously, I don't think that they're going to sweep by any means. I know that 5 has been popular, but I don't know. I want to say 6 because that just seems like the right
safe.
number.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to do it on
the road.
The road, right. So like, I don't know. Maybe that's just being a little bitch at the same time. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people keep talking about is Siakam because he was such he won Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Halliburton. And he's done it before. He won a championship with the Raptors in 2019. They're always talking about like, oh, well, he's just a matchup nightmare. And it's like, Well, then you run through, they're like, well, the Thunder have Jalen Williams who match up really well with him and Alex Caruso that match up really well with him. And if you really had to, you can put Dort on him. And then if that doesn't work, you can try Kaysen, and that doesn't even
And then
include
Chet.
or Kenrich if you want to get a little bit of physicality on him. They talk about how this Pacers team plays with such pace and high energy, high effort. And I think one of the biggest things for the Thunder, if they want to go push that to 5 games instead of 6 or 7, is they have to match that intensity out the gate and not give up. Like New York was giving up like 4 or 5 baskets a game off of makes.
You're not
they
getting
just like you can't give that up as a Thunder team. But and then the shooting. I mean, Nesmith, he's the reason they won that game 1. He went 8 of 9. I think he had correct me if I'm wrong to all the listeners, but I think he went like 8 of 9 in the fourth quarter alone to steal that game. Halliburton gets the credit because he hit the shot, but Nesmith was like the biggest reason they were there. He turned an ankle, so he was a little gimpy. He didn't play as much in the later stages of that Knicks series. I know they said Jarris Walker is out, which I don't think is just like a massive deal, but it's one less body. He hurt his ankle in that last Knicks game, but it just feels like everyone just keeps listing all these things that have to go right for the Pacers to steal one game.
Yeah. And I obviously that's probably why they're minus 700 going into the NBA Finals as the favorite to win. But at the same time, you can sit around and you can pick everything at this Indiana team and still be a little bit scared because Halliburton might go off one night, and all of a sudden you get into a tight ball game, and he's been a guy that has consistently made that shot for the Pacers this year. So it's scary, but at the same time, I'm super excited because I do think it's a pretty decent matchup for the Thunder. Like they want to, I think Zach Lowe put it great in his podcast this week, just kind of previewing the matchup, was basically the Pacers want to play at a frenzy offensively. The Thunder, that's exactly where they want to be defensively. So like the matchup there is going to be fascinating to watch, and you just hope the Thunder can do it 4 times. That's all you need, and you're world champions, which is incredible
and insane to think about.
Awesome.
You talked about Chet breaking his hip, and that was I think November 10th, and I remember that night everyone's texting like, we just got to sneak in at like a 4 or 5 seed, like, and if he's healthy, we can make a run.
And they won
like
68 games.
Yeah, and in a way that if you would have told me they won 70, I'd have believed you. I mean, the hope is the only thing this team fails to do is win an NBA Cup.
Yeah,
but
and they literally have everything else. I mean, you win Executive of the Year, you win MVP. Lou Dort gets on his first team All Defense. It's been kind of an incredible ride, which I don't know, makes me feel a little bit better at night when I go to sleep, knowing that this thing is like kind of come together almost perfectly. In my brain, it means this should end in a title, but
every star so far has been perfectly aligned, and there's just one more star that looks like it's there, because they always talk about in 2012 LeBron was on the other side. In 2016 you had to get through Steph, and then LeBron was going to be on the other side, and you can talk yourself into it right now because the fear factor of what could go wrong. But if you would have told any Thunder fan 6 months ago that Tyrese Halliburton would be standing between you and a championship, there's not a single Thunder fan that wouldn't take that. Yeah. So it's exciting, man. It's almost here. We're 48 hours out, I think, just under or just over.
The playoffs have been so weird too, because you had that week before waiting on everybody else to get done through the play-in stuff. Then you sweep, and then you have another week. It just feels like the Thunder have played like minimal basketball games over a shortened period of time. But then you realize it's been like a month and a half since the regular season got over. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's been hard to not get into the playoffs by any means. It's just been hard to like get into the grind of like, I went into game 5 with Minnesota thinking that it was going to be, like a knockdown drag out. I was ready to cheer my ass off. And then, truly like first quarter or, first time out, it was over. They were
in the first 5 minutes.
Defense. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you at game 5?
No, I was watching it from home, but I was ready to definitely cheer for sure.
Yeah, obviously. We heard you.
There were a couple games. God, what was it? I think it was game 2 against Minnesota. game 2 against Denver even, like I spent the entire fourth quarter like standing in front of the television, which felt good. It felt good to do that again.
That just sounds American. Like that,
Yeah,
that just
I think your
absolutely.
blood is boiling.
No, I saw Jason Gallagher does his little like mini vlog
Yeah.
thing, and you were in his most recent one, but his
Was I?
mic cut out. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to check it out. He sat right behind me, being my buddy Cole at the game 7 against Denver.
Yeah. Yeah. He like kind
Awesome.
of combined, he did like a final series for it.
I need to look.
Mini movie, and he had you like talking into it, but he in the caption it was like, yeah, my mic messed up. Sorry, Eddie. Like, so you're in it, but we just can't hear you.
I think I remember it was after the game. It was on a Sunday. I played golf that Sunday morning, had a couple beers, and then had a couple beers at the game.
Yeah, was
It
that with
feeling
Nader
good.
and Barrett and the boys?
Yeah.
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 No. We were texting about that. So shout out to them. They're a huge reason why Eddie's able to be on the pod. So the
Absolutely.
Fit
Shouts
Report
out.
boys.
What'd
but
you
yeah,
shoot that day, Eddie?
Huh?
What'd you shoot that day playing golf?
I think I actually played well. I think and well for me, I think I shot like 85, 86 probably.
And it
Which
rolled it right
day-
into a Thunder victory in Game 7.
It was a great day. It was a great day. It hurt on Monday, but it was a great day.
Sounds
That's
like
right.
you need to get a tea time for Sunday morning.
I know. I might have to think about doing that to
Mhm.
keep up with the tradition. I was trying to eat
Yeah.
Johnny's every game, and then they got their ass kicked, and I think it was game 4.
That went away.
Yeah, so we had to put that away. But Johnny's is a staple in this household.
My thing is I shave every game day.
Oh, I
And
like
the only day that I have not shaved was game 3 in Minnesota. And
Yeah,
I
you
was
gotta-
like, I immediately was like, sorry, guys, that's on me.
you
That's
got
on
to
me.
shave on Thursday. And we like that accountability. We need the
Yep.
entire city invested in this, and that's exactly what we need.
Don't go away from what got
brave
us
of
here.
you to step up. Brave of you
Exactly.
to step up and take
Somebody
Exactly.
had to. Somebody had to. Before we wrap up, I'll give my prediction. I got Thunder in 5. I just think
Like it.
I think the biggest thing is, and I said it in the Wolves series, if you can win your first 2 at home, you're set up just perfectly. I mean, we saw last year in the Mavs series, you split those, and then in the Nuggets series, you split those, and it just becomes a drag it out series. But if you can steal those first 2,
Yeah.
obviously it looks pretty good from there. So I got Thunder in 5. Chris, what do you got before we head out?
I think I'm going to take the sort of cop out and do Thunder in 6. I would love for them to finish at home in Game 5 or 7, but I'd much rather finish in 6. I think
That's fair. Hey, as long as they win, I'll take
that's
it.
true.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care at this point.
I'll take a 7, but I don't know if like mentally we'll need to check back in, because if it goes 7, if it goes long, it's going to be a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, there might be a few
Real
ambulance calls
rough.
outside of Eddie's door. Like, hey, can we go check on Eddie over there?
Yeah. And
But yeah.
because of that, I'll go Thunder in 4, sweep, greatest team, one of the
Whoa, I
greatest
love it.
teams in the history of NBA basketball, the history of professional basketball. We'll see you at the parade. I think that's what I told Gallagher at the game. But no, I that's with my heart for sure. I could definitely see 5. 6 would be really, really kind of heartstrings being pulled, but any type of Thunder win, I'm good with. We just need to celebrate.
Hey, put a bow on the best season in Thunder history and one of the top probably 3 to 5 seasons in NBA history if you can go get this done, especially in 4. But yeah.
And it's like all the stats that you like can dig up, and the Pacers and the Thunder being the 2 best records since January. All that stuff, like I think it does speak to the Pacers have played extremely good basketball. And I think it's going to be, if the Thunder are able to finish in 4 or 5 or 6 or whenever, it's going to be because they're playing extremely good basketball themselves. And I think that we've seen that a little bit here over the last couple of weeks. Certainly, after those question marks with coming out of Game 3 in Denver, they've played like a different team. They've almost certainly taken it to another level, which is going to be kind of fun to see if they can take it to that next level, which obviously would end with winning a championship.
Absolutely. I think that Game 5 in Oklahoma City that they came back just set the tone. Ever since then, Chet and Dub have felt like, Dub had the bad Game 6, but ever since then, it's felt like the nerves aren't there as much, or like they're just playing basketball. And the hope is it continues starting Thursday night.
Everybody needed that, to just be able to see them go out and kind of be like, no, this is the team that we've been for, I guess at that point it was 80 or 82 plus, probably 10, 11 games, or 8 or 9 games. It just, everybody needed that, like, chill. This team's extremely
They're still
good.
the same team.
Right.
Yeah.
So much fun.
No. It's go time. Eddie, before we leave, we have a lot of Sooner fans that listen to this podcast, so they'd kill me if I didn't at least ask for like a temperature check. We don't need any crazy predictions, but vibe and temperature check around OU football as we start heading towards summer and fall camp.
It's oddly, like, even for the monster that is OU football, it's oddly, I think, positive right now. We did George Soy and I did a thing with Andy Staples. I think it'll be out on On3's YouTube website next week. We did it today, but like just talking to him even, and him and Ari Wasserman, just in terms of like, there is a lot of positive momentum right now around Oklahoma. And I think that like when you look at the schedule, obviously one of the toughest schedules in the country, maybe in the history of college football coming up next season. You add in the, year 4 with Brent Venables and everything that goes into, the magnitude of what this season is going to mean, not just for Oklahoma football this season, but for Brent's tenure in Norman, for, kind of big picture stuff that everybody's looking at for the direction of the program. It's a monster, and it's going to be rather interesting. I think that like defensively, they feel like they should be pretty good. They, returning a lot of guys. You look at an offense that simply just needs to be just a little bit better and get out of this cellar that they've been in, coming out of a season that, they were the worst offense in the modern era of the program. If they can just be better, I think that there's building to be something that could be special, but we'll see. The schedule is going to be incredibly tough. Like what is a realistic goal to get to? If you can get to 9 wins, that almost feels like they would be going 11-1 with this schedule. So
they might make a playoffs at 9-3.
They would be in the playoffs, in my opinion. And I think that, if you could do that, what a difference a year would make from where this thing was coming out of last season. That was, obviously terrible on the field, embarrassing off the field for fans being welcome to a new conference. So, there's a lot of pressure on Ben Arbuckle. There's a lot of pressure on John Mateer to perform. But, I do think that you look at an offensive line coming out of the spring that I think that going into last year, they returned, I think it was 4 guys with 8 starts. This year, you return a good group of guys that I think has 64 combined starts. You made some, at least some depth moves on the offensive line in the portal. And then, obviously, Mateer getting a Jaden Knott. There's still going to be a question mark about what that wide receiver group's going to be. And, ultimately, maybe that ends up being what this team is what that group can be. So they went about it a little bit differently, identifying talent, hoping that they got guys that had given contribution at big programs or in college football. So it's going to be fun. I know that it's going to be interesting. I don't know what to expect, but we'll have a couple months for the monster that is to kind of be built back up into what, I think a lot of people expect it to be before you get to the start of fall camp in August. So I'm excited. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what this is.
The hope is the Thunder Championship just rolls right into the good vibes of OU football and all is cured after that just hell we all went through last year.
Yeah, that would be the hope. I know there would be a lot more happy people around these parts. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But with that, I want to thank Eddie again for coming on. Go check him out. SoonerScoop, 107.7 The Franchise in the morning. Eddie, can't thank you enough, man.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah. We'll be back Thursday night to recap Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Thunder and Pacers. But with that, appreciate everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you later. See you.
All night long, party, party, we like to party, 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 all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, 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 all night long. Party, party, we like to party.